Clix guaranteed to win this season's FNCS. The play-in stages are officially over, group stages are what is coming up next, and I decided to ask the question on Twitter, now that the play-ins have concluded, what are your hot takes after we have seen the play-ins and before the group stages start? If you guys want to be featured in any of the future hot takes videos, make sure you guys just follow me on my Twitter, because that is where I ask for all of your guys' hot takes. Also remember, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are so close to 111,000 subscribers. If you guys want to support me even more, the best way to do so is by using code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop. We have a lot of different bold opinions that I want to go over in today's video, so let's just get this video started. No one's ever had more pressure to win an FNCS than Clix does right now. Now, before I give my opinion on this, I want to read out like kind of the whole mini thread right here. So somebody responded and they said, why? No coin, no mythics. Peterbot and Puyo during Grim season had more pressure. And then somebody else responded and they said, two best teams on the region are conning each other. Clix has the best POI uncontested, and people are saying it's Mickey even if he does win. Clix's legacy is on the line 100%. Now, I think I agree with both of these statements, that Clix has the most pressure ever on him to win an FNCS, and that his legacy is maybe potentially on the line. It's really so crazy that Clix, for how big he has been over these past, what, like 7 years at this point, that this is 1,000,000% going to be probably the highest chance he is ever going to have of potentially winning a grand finals. I think if there is anybody though that is used to the pressure, it is him. He has literally streamed grand finals in front of like 150,000 viewers. Whenever he goes to LAN events, he is always far and away the most popular person there with the most pressure on him to perform. I think he will be able to 100% handle himself in the light of the pressure. It's just gonna come down to how Iyamzo and Higgs are able to play. If he doesn't win this FNCS, am I gonna say like, oh, his legacy is ruined or anything like that? No, but mainly just because he doesn't have any previous FNCS wins, and he only started to get his best ever placements over these past couple of seasons. It's not like we're talking about Peterbot or something here, where people are trying to make arguments that he is the greatest player of all time, and say if Peter was in the exact same situation that Clix was currently in, where he had the best PO on the map completely uncontested, and then the second and third best teams were fighting each other off spawn, and then Peter didn't win this grand finals, then I think that would majorly impact his legacy, and people would say, how can the best player of all time not win a grand finals in those circumstances? I think though, if Clix doesn't win this FNCS, I really don't believe he is ever going to be in a better position to win. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of us were saying that exact same thing after he stopped playing with Vino. But I mean, as Peterbot was literally saying, everybody has their moments in Fortnite. Even if Clix is not able to win FNCS, which I think there really is only two ways that this goes. He either wins FNCS and all of his fans will praise him and it'll be like a great moment. Some people will call it a Mickey Mouse win, but a win is a win at the end of the day. But if he is not able to win FNCS, the Clix haters are going to have fuel for literally as long as he doesn't win an FNCS. Like, I don't even want to know what Twitter would look like if Clix somehow did not win this FNCS. If I was anybody on that trio, I would just straight up delete Twitter for the next couple of weeks. But that is why this FNCS is going to be so entertaining to watch, and I honestly do have to agree that he probably does have the most pressure ever to win an FNCS. If Zen keeps his focus and Enpen VODs a lot and they scrim, they can top 5 in grand finals. All right, now I don't know if every single one of these videos we have to have a Zen like rage bait hot take in here. Literally the top reply to this, there's literally 21 replies and only 17 likes, and the top reply is just 3 laughing faces. I think a lot of people are really high on Zen because of like his crazy mechanics and everything like that, but I quite literally don't think Zen has ever even played in a grand finals before, and he's not playing with like super high tier 1 players either. So I'm not even gonna like entertain this bait right here. I'm just gonna say no, I disagree with this and then move on. Mongrel, Kaido, and Haijo have a better chance at qualifying for Grand/Globals than MrSavage, Chap, and Rezon. Now, you guys might be hearing this and saying this is absolute like blasphemy, but I have legit seen multiple people in this thread saying this exact same thing. And I think honestly, after the FNCS play-ins, if that was the only tournament we got to see throughout the whole season, then I would have to agree with that statement. But I think the thing that really hurts MrSavage, Chap, and Rezon is even though they're able to consistently qualify for set lobby finals, we quite literally never even get to see them play in endgame because they're just getting absolutely ran off spawn. Now let me be the first one to say it, I have absolutely loved how Mongrel's trio has looked over these past couple of weeks. They have been grinding pretty much as many scrim sessions as they can. They've been practicing together. The chemistry that they have been showing as well looks absolutely amazing. So I think if we're just talking about how these trios have already looked, I mean, it's not like MrSavage's trio has any crazy trio placements together either this season, but I think if we're just talking about the current situations that they are in, MrSavage is going to have a fully uncontested resistance base, while Mongrel is going to be fighting off spawn at pumped power. Pretty much everybody should agree that Mongrel is in a 10 times harder situation to be able to even qualify for grands than MrSavage. So while I think this is a potential interesting argument, I don't think I can agree with it just because of the off spawn situation. And also, if we're just being real, at the end of the day, I think every single one of the players between MrSavage, Shap, and Rezon are all better individually skill-wise than Mongrel, Kaido, or Haijo currently, and that's not supposed to be like disrespect to them or anything, but I have still really liked how Mongrel's trio has looked. Offspawn Rep isn't worth anything anymore, and all of the good teams will probably be cons at globals. This is one that I actually had to like sit here and think about for a little bit, but the more I thought about it, especially on EU right now, it feels like every single big name trio besides for Doxy is contested, and even then MrSavage's trio still literally tried to contest for Doxy off spawn only like 2 weeks ago. I feel like the only players that were seen as like untouchable off spawn was like Peterbot, obviously, for the past year and a half, and then a lot of the NA players just in general get uncon POIs, but it's just because there is not as many good talent wise trios on NA compared to how it is on EU. But on EU, yeah, 100%, I feel like nobody really cares what your off spawn rep is. They are going to contest you no matter what. Like, especially what we're seeing happen at Demon's Domain on EU between Podesai, Xweez, and Archskill. Like, why in the world are they triple contesting Demon's Domain when there's 2 other trios there that already have a land spot? Like, that just makes no sense to me. I think really the only people that have like crazy off spawn rep right now is, I think, to be honest, Puyo is slowly growing his off spawn rep, but I feel like for Doxy might honestly be the most respected off spawn player in the entire game right now. King Phaser and PHZen will dominate in heats even while contested, and will look like the best team in that group, whether that's winning in one of the first 2 games or playing super consistently. They will also top 5 in grands, having their stocks very high going into globals. Now, I don't want to necessarily say I've been like blown out of the water by what King Phaser and PHZen have shown from not only the FNCS plans but the last Div Cup, but I have thought that they look very solid. I think they 100% have the potential to be. My ceiling right now on them is like a top 7 team on NA. I think where I would start to get surprised at their placement is if they finished maybe around that top 4 range, but I like the fighting ability on the trio. I think they still just do need that extra time to get adjusted to playing on NA with how the surge trading is compared to how it is on Brazil, but I think they have looked very solid so far. The main 3 candidates in EU to win FNCS are Doxy, Vino, and Vanya. Now, even Doxy basically agrees with this. He says that he currently has a 20% chance to win grand finals. He said, I'll win 1 out of 5 with these conditions if both Malibuca and Quizzy qual and con each other in grands. And then he says that Bino has a 25 to 30% chance, and then he is saying that his current favorite to win is going to be Vanya's trio with a 40% chance. If you've ever seen Doxy in one of these videos though, you know that he is pretty humble. I think I am almost ready to lock in my pick on choosing Doxy to win this FNCS. So that would of course mean that I believe he has a higher chance than these other trios, but I think, like you just said, the teams of Doxy, Vino, and Vanya are the 3 favorites right now. If Savage continues on W King like that mid game, he will not be able to qualify for globals. The thing with Savage's trio that I feel like I said earlier is I just quite literally have not got to see them play much else of a mid game or an end game in a set lobby finals, just because they struggle so heavily to make it off spawn. And even when they do make it off spawn, like you're saying, they choose to just W key in mid game half of those times. Like, I feel like I have barely seen this team do things like surge trade. I just feel like for a trio that has been together for so long already, they still need so much more practice. The MrSavage to globals dream is looking really bleak right now, but we gotta hold out hope, and I think it is still possible. Puyo will win the Offspawn 8-4. and top 10 in grands with 2 wins in those 8 games. Now, I think if Puyo wins 8-4, his ceiling is even higher than a top 10. Like, I'm pretty sure that is what Quizzy actually ended up winning off spawn when he was contested at Seaport City 2 seasons ago, and he literally placed like 4th place, I'm pretty sure, from that. So I think Puyo can definitely maybe pull off a top like 6 or 5 if they're able to win 8-4. We literally saw them win a cash cup in only 5 total games. So I think we got to say their floor is higher than a top 10 if they're able to win 8-4 off spawn. We are going to see more underrated teams qualify for grands than last season. I mean, this one's kind of hard to either agree or disagree with. I would kind of have to know which underrated teams you're really talking about. Like, are you talking about underrated trios that people know their names but just don't expect them to do that well? Or do you mean like completely unknown people? Then I mean maybe, but that also kind of just happens every single season. There's always some names that are getting cycled out and then new names are entering into the ecosystem. It's just kind of the process of how Fortnite competitive goes. Visuals, Brazen, and Menaced won't qualify for grands while they are contested. So if you guys didn't know, Visuals, Brazen, and Menaced, our land qualified trio, is currently contested by Bryce's trio Offspawn in the actual group stage that they're in. And this is also another hot take that I saw got brought up multiple times. And that Offspawn fight has just been an absolute grief fest. They end up pretty much going even a lot of the times, but I think Visuals, Brazen, and Menaced know how to win games. They can probably win off spawn, get those 3 eliminations right there, and then finish the game with like a 4 elimination win. They are a team that knows how to just sit on ultimate high ground, spray down the entire game. They're not going to get any elims, but I think they can definitely still pull off a win through their group to be able to make it into grand finals. I think the only way that they don't qualify for grands is if they just quite literally lose every single game off spawn, but I just don't see that scenario happening either. Focus and MrSavage will go 9-3-2 Focus if they both make finals, and Savage won't make it into the top 20. Now, if Savage is only able to play 3 end games out, I think he is going to be closer to that 30 to 33 range than top 20. And it really does suck that him getting 9-3'd by Focus's trio is a real possibility. I feel like if I had to predict the off spawn score right now between MrSavage versus Focus off spawn in say a grand finals, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe like a 7-5 or even an 8-4 in favor of Focus's trio. And I'm not trying to just like dog on MrSavage here, but it really does just suck that at the beginning of the season, people were saying this is like a lock to be able to qualify for globals, and now all of the hot takes about his trio is just how bad everybody thinks they're going to do. On EU, a surprise team will win grands, Camion said he won't qualify for globals, and then on NA, Kanata will only top 15 in grands, and Puyo will beat Peter 7-5 or 8-4. Now, for a surprise team winning grands on EU, that definitely is a possibility. I feel like the only maybe potential surprise team that can maybe win could be somebody like Pickstorm and Demas. For the Camion City not being able to qualify for globals, also definitely a real possibility, but the one that I don't agree with at all is saying that Kanata won't even top 15 in grands or will only top 15 in grands. I don't even know how you could possibly get to that conclusion at all, but the other things there I think could be real possibilities. Peterbot and Puyo will contest each other at least for the first day of grands, but if somebody does really bad the off spawn, they will leave on day 2. Now maybe this is like some reverse like Vigo, Vino, and Flixy strats. They could con each other all of day 1, and then on day 2 they could either do like the drop spot roulette where they're going so many different POIs, or they could just full 50-50 a completely different team. I just don't know how realistic that is though. I feel like if one of the teams is just getting absolutely destroyed, they're gonna just stick with it for the rest of grand finals. They've already contested each other for this long up until that point. I don't see them wanting to leave for just 6 more games, but I mean, hey, maybe you're cooking something with this here. We're just gonna have to come back and see later on though. With it being trios, smaller regions like OCE should have a system for even less land qual teams. There are so many huge teams on EU and NA that sometimes don't qual, and most people only know a few OCE players. It could be a system like the first on the leaderboard over all majors. Now, I guess you're saying here that OCE should only get like 1 land spot over the 3 majors, and whoever has the highest consistent placement throughout the 3 seasons is the one that gets the land spot. I think that is a cool idea in theory, but that would also mean that every single trio would pretty much have to stick together for the entire year. And then what happens if one trio only plays like 1 FNCS together and they get 2nd place, and so that's their average placement, and then another trio plays all 3 majors together but their average placement is a 3. I do do agree with you that I feel like a lot of these small regions are taking away from the LAN spots of the actual good trios that have potential to place well at LAN from both EU and NA. I think on NA it's a pretty simple fix, just get rid of NA West. I really don't think there is any reason why that region needs 3 separate LAN spots. And then just imagine if we gave those 3 LAN spots to NA, then probably all 3 of the trios of Booga, Kanata, and Muzz would be able to qualify for globals. But for the rest of the regions, I really don't know how you fix that. If you have any ideas though, I'd love to hear it in the comment section down below. Badil, if he is uncon, can top 4 grand finals. Now, Badil's trio really has looked super good over the recent Eval Cup and also in the FNCS play-ins as well. Definitely a lot more in the recent Eval Cup though. I feel like this one is a little bit hard for me to either say yes or no to right now, just because at our larger sample size, he's pretty much been contested for as long as I can really even remember at this point. But like you said, if he's able to be uncon, I think he does have pretty high grand finals potential. I don't know if I would necessarily say like a top 4 though. Booga is very underrated in this season. He's been putting in the hours grinding, and personally I think he has more of winning potential than Kanata does, since Kanata isn't consistent enough. Now I do have to agree with you that Booga has been grinding like absolutely crazy this season. He might honestly be one of the biggest grinders on all of NA right now. I think the part though where you're comparing Booga and Kanata's playstyles, I feel like they are just so similar, as they are such both high ground oriented teams, and when you're going to see those teams doing their best is when they are on the back of high ground. I definitely could buy into the possibility that Booga's trio outplaces Kanata's trio, and I don't even think I would necessarily be surprised if that happened, but I am still personally higher on Kanata's team than I am on Booga's team. Hear me out. Focus and Rax both don't qualify for finals, and Savage quals globals with an uncon resistance base. I think it is maybe potentially possible that Rax's trio isn't able to make grands, but I think Focus, like I have been saying, is probably almost a 100% lock. They are also going to have an uncontested resistance base in their own heat, and they have quite literally looked like a better trio than MrSavage's trio up until this point. So if we're saying that MrSavage is going to be able to qualify for grands, then I don't really see any world where Focus's trio isn't able to as well. Peter and Puyo are the best teams in the world right now by far. This has been a theory that I have wanted to get behind for so long at this point. I have said this so many times, I wish we could quite literally just Control-C, Control-V Demon's Domain, copy and paste it, have 2 of the exact same POIs, and these 2 trios would look like, to me, the best teams in the entire world. But as we all know, that is unfortunately not the current situation that we are in, and it really does suck that there is probably a higher possibility that both of these teams don't finish inside of the top 10 than either one of them has at winning grand finals. Bucky is winning FNCS and qualifying for LAN. Now, if you guys haven't been tapped into West at all, Bucky's trio honestly has been looking very good so far in all of these stacked scrim sessions, and they looked pretty solid in the play-ins as well. Nothing too crazy, but at the end of the day, if you're able to qualify in play-ins, that's all that really matters. I think there really is a real chance that Bucky's trio can win West FNCS and qualify for LAN, and that's honestly probably going to be the team that I am going to be rooting for. Obviously though, we should all know how difficult it actually is to win an FNCS, so I don't want to like overrate them so far just based off of a couple of scrim sessions that I have seen, but it definitely is a real possibility because they honestly have looked very solid so far. Quizzy will win 9-3 off spawn and then win grand finals. Now, if Quizzy is somehow able to win 9-3 at a potentially triple contested POI, then we might have to have some debates at him being just the best off spawn player of all time, especially for how 50-50 that POI is. And then, hey, if he's even able to go on and win grand finals from there, they might just have to be the undeniable best trio in the entire world. I feel like these are both very unlikely and difficult scenarios, but if they end up coming true, then hey, Quizzy's just the GOAT or something. Nuke, Edgy, and Chance will qualify for globals. I mean, I feel like they might maybe be a dark horse team to be able to do it, but I still think there is probably around 4 or 5 other trios that I would pick to be able to qualify for globals before I pick the trio of Dukes, Edgy, and Chance. Art Skill isn't actually going to contest Malibuca. This has been a hot take that I have been trying to convince myself in as well, because I know I've said this so many times, I just don't see why in the world they're even doing this in the first place. I think they can maybe pull off, if they're actually able to make it into grand finals, I think on the day of grands, they might just go and surprise con a different random trio. So this is honestly a hot take that I want to buy into, but I don't know if it's because I believe in it or if it's just because I want to see it happen. Recooper and Curly will crumble in their heat because they don't have their Surge buddies to trade with, so they will struggle with Surge heavily. Now, hey man, I feel like if there is any team that has almost the most to prove as as we have been talking about in this video, it is the trio of Reek, Cooper, and Curly. I have never seen so many doubters on a trio. I feel like the biggest doubted teams right now is Reek, Cooper, Curly, and Visuals, Braids, and Diminished. Two teams that have quite literally already qualified for LAN, but these have been two of the teams that most people are calling like Mickey Mouse LAN teams, and I think this is going to be a huge season for them to prove a lot of their doubters wrong. I think both of these teams also have a lot of pressure on them. And going back to actual hot take though, no, I don't think that they're going to crumble in their heat. I think if Reek, Cooper, and Curly aren't even able to make grand finals, that would be one of the biggest disappointments that we have seen in Fortnite over these past couple of seasons. Other than that though, love doing these hot takes videos. Remember, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Let me know which one of these hot takes you agree with and disagree with in the comment section down below. Also, if you guys ever want to be featured in a future episode of hot takes, make sure you guys follow me on my Twitter where I ask for you guys' hot takes over there. Please use code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. YouTube says there's only one of these two videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.